Well, I'm here at the Fan Fest, and Watford are up 5-2. That's crazy. Are you excited about that by any chance?
5, baby. 5. There was only 10 minutes.
Yeah.
4 goals. This is the Watford we need. This is survival right here.
If you were playing, what would the score be?
Well, it would be 5-0.
I thought he was going to say 5-4.
5-0.
I thought he was going to say 5-4. He ain't lost
Center
his step,
backs,
boys.
Clean sheets. That's our bonus. Come on.
All right, Christian, our guest is finally here. And what an honor.
Quite honored, all right?
Yeah,
not only because of obviously his incredible career, but also him and I, we have a little beef to settle, okay?
A little clapback must be had. Well, the reason for that is if you don't know who Jay DeMerit is, I can't believe you're even watching the show. Legend for the U.S. men's national team, was with Watford, and I don't want to say the reason, he probably won't take credit for it, but his goal put them in the Premier League, okay? And got him in Elton John's cell phone. Ladies and gentlemen, the man happiest about the 5-2 win over Everton, the one, the only, Jay DeMerit, everybody!
Jay, what's up, man?
Salute. How are we?
Salute to you. Yes, it is. It's nice to see you on nicer terms. All right, because the last time I did see you, you were hanging out with Alexis Guerreros at the Premier League Fan Fest. Everton was comfortably winning 2-1 against Watford Football Club. I was quite happy. I was excited about another 3 points. I was happy about all the fans that were in Los Angeles about to celebrate. And then the next 20 minutes. I don't know what happened. Give 4 or 5 goals, and then I get a message from you, gloating, boasting, even
yes, it was great.
about this victory. So it's nice to see you on more polite terms, Jay.
You very rarely do we score 5, so I got to take those advantages when I get them, and I got to take advantage of that. Not many. I don't think we ever beat Everton at Everton, so I got to you got to take those moments, boys. You know that, and so And we were at the Fan Fest having a good time, and I probably had one too many mimosas, and so I was ready to get after you.
It was just the perfect time to walk in a room where I see Jay DeMerit celebrating 5-2 against Everton. And I was like, I've got to get this on camera. This is perfect.
But it's great to see you, man. How are you doing? I know you obviously there's a lot going on in your career. Like I mentioned, you were hanging out with Alexis in Los Angeles, but you got to hang out with Watford fans, and you are the ambassador, the North American ambassador for Watford Football Club. So we'll talk about your career in the past, but right now, the responsibility of growing the Watford footprint. What has that been like for you now in your post-playing career?
Well, I think I don't know, Alex, if you were counting, but I think there was only 6 jerseys of the 6,000 that came through for the weekend. So I got a lot of work to do, put it that way. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I just love the opportunity to continue to work for such a great club at Watford. They very much are a community built place. They have a little bit of fame, but also just a lot of community built love that, I grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. That's why I grew up in a community built sport place. And so I think my relationship with Watford has always been that it's been community built. It's fun to represent that community, and of course grow the game here in North America. There's still so much growth we can do. We got to keep Watford in the Premier League. Obviously that helps. You can't get someone to support a team that's not going to be there every year. I guess that's the hardest thing you got to start selling with the North American market. But that being said, the stories are there. The Elton John stories are there. Everything's there. It's just about staying in the league and being a team that actually can compete. And so far, so good. I think the Watford, as anyone who pays attention to the Premier League, has had 17 managers in 10 years. They have players in a revolving door because of that. And so
Everton has had some of those managers, right?
Yeah. There's a little bit of back and forth.
Exactly. And so, it's hard to keep that, that staple point in there. But, we're looking to, hopefully Ranieri will work. Hopefully he can tinker around as much as he wants, but with the same players for once. You know what I mean? It's hard to build that team from a foundation if you don't keep players around. And so I think that's going to be the goal for this season: keep the players, stay in the league, and then have Ranieri take us to survival for a year and a year. And then next year there'll be 50 Watford jerseys at the fan.
There we go.
You did just mention you are from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and look, it'd be difficult to not talk about the Packers, and I know this is a soccer show, but let's talk about football, as we call it out here. Look, obviously the news is all about Aaron Rodgers and him. It's hard to even sort out all the details, but he's not playing.
Right.
He tested positive for COVID, and now Joe Rogan is in the news. Okay, even more than usual. But as a
Dr.
Packers,
Joe, no, but that is Dr. Joe Rogan, I believe it's called.
apologies for
What's my copay for listening to the show?
I was just calling him Mr. Joe Rogan for years.
So disrespectful.
But as a Packers fan, how are you supposed to feel with the madness that's playing out in the national media with the Packers?
Well, I mean, I don't think there was a better time to beat the Chiefs than this weekend, but we didn't have our starting quarterback. So, again, I know Green Bay people are a little bit upset. I mean, it's a weird time, man. Like, it's so crazy to even think that that people are playing and not playing based on something, like a vaccine. Like, we never would have thought we would be here, but we are. And, I think at the end of the day, fans just want to see their teams win. Like, we don't care how we get there in the end. If Jordan Love comes in and throws 3 touchdowns and, it's a whole nother narrative and a whole nother thing that could have happened. But at the end of the day, we understand the power of Aaron Rodgers and what he brings to that team to how you go and make playoffs and potentially challenge for Super Bowls. It's through him, and I think at the end of the day, you have wide receivers, but if they can't, if they're not getting delivery from Aaron Rodgers, he's one of the best to ever do it. You know what I mean? You could put anybody in there and Packers fans aren't going to be happy because you can't replace the dude. You can't, it's almost impossible. So that's hard. It's hard when fans are looking at it saying, well, we want to win. That's our team. And then you go, well, Aaron, you got to do what's best for the team. And he's like, well, I'm still me and I'm still doing what's best for me. So,
right. We're going to need the Packers need to draw up a play where they lateral literally the needle with the vaccine to Aaron and he uses it.
Pfizer 42.
Jab 1.
Pfizer 42. By the way, I just do want to confirm. I know you're a really big Packers fan, but you can't change the fact that they lost to the Chiefs.
They did lose.
7-13.
I know.
Yeah, he's like, they beat the Chiefs. I was like, actually, it was a pretty rough one.
I know, but think about that. I mean, last year the Chiefs would have ran them 38-zip. But, and again, the Chiefs are in a bit of a slump right now. So that, again, my point was like you had the best chance in the last couple of years to go and beat the Chiefs. And we couldn't do it. Because
one of my favorite side notes about that game is, I forget the guy's name who was the first-time starter at quarterback. The Chiefs put his mom and his sister in the last possible seats in the stadium. I mean,
it's like a drone shot too. If you watch the shot too, it's like it starts with them and it's like zooms right in on them, and they're like literally top 2 seats in the whole stadium.
It's funny because you would never do that in the Premier League. Like in England, you would never do something like that. You'd always show like reverence to the other player, and there's all that. Here they're like put them in the last possible seat, and they really 100%. Were as far as
I'm buddies with a guy that played for the Seahawks, and so a couple years ago he was a tight end for the Seahawks. They played at Lambeau Field, so I'm like, I get tickets and pay $160 or whatever, but I'm like, well, my buddy's coming. He doesn't know anyone in Green Bay. I'm like, Dad, let's go get his tickets, because I'm like, they can't be that bad. You know what I mean? Like whatever. And so I get free tickets, go to the thing, and I'm telling you, same. Top row Z corner. And I'm like trying to press my dad. I got tickets from like one of the players, you know what I mean? He's like, I can buy better seats, dude.
Yeah. You know, I think you win better seats in a Coke can.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, don't get them from the players if you can get them in the stand.
Where do you think the American player is today? Because obviously you had a great career. You got a chance to play with the men's national team. And we want to ask you a little bit about that. But a lot's changed since you played. If I remember the movie correctly, you sent letters to a lot of English teams trying to get trials, and you ended up going out there and finding a trial on your own. Things are a little different now. You know, one, we don't send letters anymore. It's an email. And two, or maybe you slide into DMs. And two, now American players are just getting bought after one game in MLS. How different is that? And are you excited? What do you think is going to, will it continue to happen? What do you think happens in the future?
I think it's a really good question, in all honesty. And I think we've turned a corner. I got to be honest, like the last, group of the U.S. national team players, they were all playing in Europe. But what I say all the time, they weren't influencing their clubs. They were just there. You know what I mean? They were playing week in, week out, but maybe they weren't contributing or they weren't starting. And there's a difference between being a European player and being someone that's lifting trophies for your club in Europe or captaining your team in Europe. You know, like our generation was like, you know, I was captain of Watford, Bocanegra was captain of Fulham, Timmy was captain at Everton. You know, a lot of these, you know, again, Steve Trundle, captain at Hanover. We had these characters that were leaders on their teams too. And I think the last run of the, you know, that haven't qualified for World Cups, those, you know, you're relying your full leadership abilities on like the Pulisic's and the next generation. They weren't ready yet. Now they are, but they're now part of the reason why they're ready is because they've gone and got great club opportunities, but are thriving at their clubs. They're getting minutes, they're lifting trophies, they're doing the things that you bring that leadership into a US locker room. Now it's a different story. And so what I see is this transition now where the leaders are actually real and the talent is still there. And so now I see that hopefully we've turned a corner now. Again, we'll find out this week and the weeks after where that resolve is. They've showed it this summer. I got to be honest, I was impressed with the resolve they showed, with the ability to win games. Again, I say this all the time about the last group. You can't go to Trinidad and win. You don't get to go to the World Cup. That's simple. That's you can't win those games. You don't deserve to be there, in all honesty. Yeah. And so, you know, you got to win the big games, but you need the characters and the leaders to do so. And for the first time in a long time, I've seen leaders in that locker room that are delivering when they need to, lifting trophies for their clubs and being contributors for 365, not the other way around. You know, you go play in Europe and you get to play 6 games a season, but you're at a Premier League team or you're playing for, you know, Borussia Dortmund, but you're not playing and you're not really, because when you come in for the national team game, you're not sharp. You're not at it and ready to beat Trinidad in Trinidad. And so what I like about this new group is that.
Yeah. I mean, I liked even the point you made about the captains that played in Europe. You, Watford, Bocanegra, Tim Howard, Cherundolo. It says something about the sort of that American resolve, like almost the captains, the generals, similar to the generals who saved England and Germany from their own demise. You know what I mean? There's something there about that American character.
Add DeMerit to that list. You'd be speaking German if it wasn't for Jay.
Yeah, Norwegian maybe or Danish, but yeah.
When you look at there's an opportunity now, and it's being talked about. Supposedly, it's already in motion that there may be a World Cup every 2 years. You obviously got a chance to play in a couple. What are the odds that? First of all, are you for a World Cup every 2 years?
I'm not actually for it. I still think that it puts it off a different pedestal now. Like it's not this thing that happens every 4 years and we crescendo to, and it's like you deserve to be here. It took 2.5 years to get here because qualifying takes almost 2.5 years to get there. And so, and I've been through World Cup qualifying. It sucks. It's super hard. It's travel. It's all these things. It's back to back to back games, going back to your club, playing back to back to back, and then coming back and playing back to back to back. So I always tell these stories about like jet lag. You know, my friends would tell me they're so jet lagged when they get home from Taiwan. And I'm like, do you want to know about jet lag? I used to play on a Saturday for Watford, fly to Miami on a Sunday for a World Cup qualifier in Mexico on a Wednesday, train Monday, train Tuesday morning, fly to Mexico City Tuesday night, get no sleep because there's a party going on until 5 a.m. And then you wake up in the morning in your hotel, you play at 15,000 feet in Mexico City, you leave on Thursday afternoon to fly back to Europe, you land Friday morning because of the time difference, and you play another game for Watford on Saturday.
Right.
And you're going to tell me that you're jet lagged.
And your brain's like, I'm not exactly sure what time it is, but I think part of this is going to go to sleep now.
Yeah.
No idea.
It's giving very strong, you know, back in my day, we used to we used to go to school walking through the snow,
uphill, both ways.
But it's exactly. Very, very accurate, obviously.
Well, and again, those guys are on the same schedule right now. You know, again, they're all doing it. I'm not comparing, like, you know, but one of those things, like, they're all doing it right now. And again, I just have the ultimate respect for that.
Yeah.
Because I think that the fan in the seat gets jet lagged doesn't know why they're complaining about that national team loss. Well, and I can tell you why. It's because that person's played 3 games in 7 days in front of 50,000 people and has 26 hours of flights in between.
Yeah, and that's why, U.S. men's national team, the loss against like Panama, it was like one of these games where we're just like, we should beat Panama in Panama. Like we're just clearly the better team on paper, but that isn't how it works out. And you imagine that some of these factors like come into play.
100%.
And I do. So let's talk real quick. I want to talk about U.S. Mexico. It's obviously happening this week. We've defeated Mexico pretty regularly these last couple matches. This summer was, I think, very exciting for a U.S. men's national team fan. As far as the rivalry, it feels like we are turning a corner in this rivalry a little bit. What do you expect out of this match? I know the World Cup qualifiers are just a little bit different than Cup competitions, but what do you expect in this upcoming match?
Hopefully the same. I love the rivalry as much as anybody. I think Mexico again is coming in probably better form, but I think at this time of the year, I like these games where you like go to Cincinnati and you play in the cold and like that it's all part of it. It's the same reason we go to Mexico and have a party outside our hotel room for 8 hours. It's the same. Like we have to find our advantages somewhere. And I think, that's what I love about World Cup qualifying and I love about this rivalry because you got to find your advantage. This is advantage US right now. You got to win this game. And that's part of the journey. 100%. You got to beat Mexico at home.
Do you have any memories that stand out for you playing against Mexico?
It was the other way. Yeah, that was Azteca Stadium. Again, this similar moment where we had a World Cup qualifier there. I remember that week is like the craziest week I probably ever had. Because again, we were a Watford game, and then I had never played at that high of elevation before, and everyone knows Azteca Stadium is at
it's up there.
It's like 13,000, 14,000 feet. And so it's like this, like a bomb hits you in warmups. You're like, what there's 2 oxygen tanks for every, like you share it with your locker partner and you come into the locker room and you're like, you can't breathe and you're just warming up. Like, you're like, how are you going to get through this 90 minutes? And you climatize yourself a little bit, but at the end of the day, because again, we don't fly into Mexico until the day before. So there's no real climatization. You're not really training too much in it to kind of get your levels back up. And so it's kind of this quick hit. That's why no one really wins at Azteca. But at the end of the day, it was this unique experience because you come there. It was a big game. Charlie Davies scored in the 9th minute, I think. And we went, I've never heard 87,000 people dead quiet before, so that's what I remember about that game is like hearing this like eerie dead quiet feeling when we go 1-0 up and then they had a bar down volley on the from the 25 to tie it up. And I've never seen 87,000 people so crazy. And so it's like that whole idea just sums up the Mexican rivalry right there. All in one game. But
did you ever have like one of those CONCACAF experiences where they set off like fireworks or like, gave you like bad food or something so the players would get sick? Did you ever get any of that experience?
Yeah, I mean, the fireworks are real for sure. I always tell people that, a lot of these stadiums, you see those blow up tunnels, those are blowing up for a reason. So it's like when you come out of the gate, you're out of projectile range. Those blow up tunnels aren't just for advertising. They look like that's what they're for, but they're not. They're there to give players another 15 meters or 15 feet to out of battery range, because you see them pop down on the ground. You can see them like bouncing around you, whatever it is that they're throwing. All that stuff is real. And again, I always love that though. Like, I'm into that kind of stuff. I'm kind of one of those renegade people that likes that. Like I feed off that stuff. You know what I mean? Like somebody cares this much, you know what I mean? And that they're going to throw their own piss at me. Like,
it's the thought that counts when it comes to Jay DeMerit.
I didn't realize Jay DeMerit wasn't just some kinky stuff. Okay.
Turn it up.
We got our own supporters group. These guys are called the Gully Squad. These are our supporters. I know Watford has their own. And they gave us a couple questions here. Jess Howen wants to know, and Jess Howen being a Colorado Rapids fan, she wants to know, I don't know if you've watched Ted Lasso, she said, but what did you think of them shortening Watford to WTF on their fake broadcast?
I did see that. I thought it was kind of interesting, but I'm just happy to see some positive energy built to the sport. Like that's what I love about TED the most. It's just this whole idea of like we're slowly, subtly educating the U.S. about football over there. Like it is. I see a lot of similarities in my story. I came over very naive. I didn't really know much, but I was nice and I was respectful and I tried to help England. Like England taught me the game. America didn't teach me the game. I was just a competitive athlete that took a chance on himself. I wasn't educated in soccer in America. I didn't play soccer full time until I was 18 years old, 19 years old. Like I was just kind of going from the other side of the track. And so like I always appreciate how much England can teach you about the game. Like, yes, they're brash. Yes, they will tell you anything, even if it's not true, to make you lose or to get under your skin or do whatever. But at the end of the day, that's all part of culture and that's all part of the game at the truest form of what football culture is and soccer culture is around the world. They want to get under your skin. They want to make you feel like you're this big when they're not at your stadium. And that adds the pressure, that adds the environment, that adds this whole idea of what it's all about. From the fans' perspective, how they're going to get under your skin, to the players' perspective, how do you actually, receive that and not make it bother you, and to the whole reason of like we're all in this together. Because I'm out on the field, you guys are screaming at me, but I gotta love the fact that like you're trying to get it from me, but I'm like screw you because this is my, the whole idea. You know what I mean? You care so much, and the pressure is real, and that I hope we get that in America eventually, but we're not there yet. You know what I mean?
Jay, you obviously your career is, you set the path for a lot of American players after you. I mean, if people haven't seen, there's a documentary about Jay DeMerit as well that you should definitely check out. But it is incredibly fascinating. One, I just out of curiosity, you mentioned people trying to get under your skin. Anything a player ever said to you that you can't get out of your head that you just always remember, whether it was funny or really did kind of seep in?
I mean, Craig Bellamy was the one that really. Remember Craig Bellamy?
Of course, yeah.
He's a little Welsh fast guy, but he was like the ultimate chirper. Like, and I wasn't like a trash talker. I was just a competitor. You know what I mean? I didn't really join in too much. I just figured I had a job to do, and I didn't want to get into that right mental state. You know what I mean? And so, but he was the first one that I actually understood that forwards are trying to get you sent off. Because I got a yellow card when we were playing Liverpool. I got a yellow card pretty early. And one of my second tackles, I came in and kind of let him know I was still there. Like he turned around to me and he like grabs my jersey and he looks at me and he goes, "I'm gonna get you sent off today." And he's just this little guy, but I'd never understood that mentality. Like I forgot that these guys are trying to get me sent off. I just thought that, competitive, whatever. And I've never thought that intent was so real. I'm like, holy shit, he really is going to try to get me sent off today. I've never had that be so brutally honest, but so true. And so like, he was the first player for me that kind of trash talked in a way that said, holy cow, these guys are out to get me too. It's not just me trying to defend these guys. You know what I mean?
It's a psychological game as much as it is.
100%. And he was a thorn in everyone's side. Even his teammates hated him.
You don't even want to train against your homie.
Yeah, no.
Is there anything you want to let people know about before we let you go?
I mean, mainly what I'm doing now is I have this Rise and Shine program off that film that you talk about. Rise and Shine was a documentary film in 2011 after the World Cup. A lot of people heard about my story, and people that I didn't even know went to Kickstarter, donated thousands and thousands of dollars, $223,000. Soccer community and voted and donated to turn my story into a documentary film called Rise and Shine. And that was kind of my whole post-career purpose moment kind of idea where, thousands of people you'd never met are giving their money to share your story. You better go out and tell it. You know what I mean? And so Rise and Shine has become something so much bigger than me. It's a youth program. It's a charity fundraiser, which is a music festival. It's a charity. And so we do a lot of charity work. And then now it's where we're actually growing the youth program. We work with teenagers, teenage program, and now we're growing it into an app with EA Sports. We're going to gamify learning, like masterclass for teenagers and young adults, college students, things like that, where we can kind of gamify celebrity, hang out with people, cool stories, win things like Zoom calls with those celebrities or NFTs based on those people's lives. but it's all based like masterclass, where we get to hear people's unique stories, but we turn them into 3 to 5 minute episodes geared towards like moments of learning about someone's story, someone's experiences, good, bad, ugly. It doesn't matter. It just depends on the person or the brand. But then it's all gamified. So you win stuff for it. You can take quizzes about what you just watched to give yourself points to cash out on cool stuff you want, like coffees and shoes and limited jerseys. And EA's actually given us a jersey to put in FIFA. As Rise and Shine Journey, we're going to get our first ever Rise and Shine jersey in the game.
That's crazy.
And so, that's going to be the reward that people are going to learn by learning about how FIFA 22 was made. And so we're going to go behind the scenes with engineers, 3D animators, and learn about how the video game's actually made. And then you get the jersey unlocked once you complete the lessons. And so, as you can see, it kind of gamifies learning, but in a more unique way, and certainly gives young people what they want. And that's free stuff.
Oh, yeah. I want free stuff.
We never age out of it somehow.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, I could run circles around these stupid kids. You know what I mean? I'll get all the free stuff.
Also, make sure you follow.
Shave your beard, look really young.
Make sure you follow Jay DeMerit on social media and follow us at Soccer Cooligans and at Fubo Sports, and subscribe to the Fubo Sports YouTube channel for full episodes of the show. Okay, so a couple other things. Let's get to our Golazo gift. This is your opportunity to celebrate a goal that we will turn into a gift that will live on the internet forever. Alexis will give you a scenario, and you are free to celebrate it however you like on screen. So, Alexis, what do you suggest?
For some reason, you are back on the men's national team. You are headed to Azteca to take part. You are a backup center back. But for some reason, last minutes of the game, you get called in, and you're not sure. You're not sure how this is going to go. But Greg Berhalter whispers in your ear, hey, if you score a header on this corner, I'll make sure that Rise and Shine is part of every FIFA video game, but also there's going to be 12 people with Watford kits at the next fantasy Premier League fan fest. You score that header. How do you celebrate?
I'll go because I'm in Azteca, so I'm going to go. And then I'll do the Alan Shearer. Where's my thing? My Alan Shearer runaway. I met Alan at the Fan Fest. The legend that is. The one-hand approach. Keep it simple. Go USA.
You played 45 seconds into this match, and you are needing oxygen.
You get a red card for bringing oxygen tank with you on the pitch.
Exactly.
Amazing. Thank you so much for that, Jay DeMerit. All right, let us end the show the way we normally do, as is tradition. So, Jay DeMerit, thank you so much for joining us. Absolutely honored. So, for Jay DeMerit, my name is Christian Polanco.
I'm Alexis Guerreros.
And together, what are we?
The Cooligans!